Hello and welcome to Low-Code Campfire. This is episode number 198 for June 6, 2025. Today we'll have main topic of Beta RC2, our hotfixes, and our Kanban board, and well, anything else you want to talk about. I am Dale Warner, head of support for Plant an App. This is a community gathering that we do once a week, or at least most weeks, where we get together, share techniques, challenges, and experiences with Plant an App. So we hope you bring something to show, something to talk about, and we'll hope to get into all of it. We record all these and put them on YouTube. You can get to that at youtube.com/plantanapp. Subscribe and hit the alarm bell so you'll know just as soon as we get them posted. We'll run our standard agenda, which is introductions, and then pick from around the campfire. So we always do first call things that were submitted in advance, but then we can get into some other things. After an hour or so, we turn off the recording, go into Afterglow, so do engage with us. You can submit questions and topics in advance. There was a submitted topic this week. So we will, you can do that with either using this QR code that'll send you a form that will let you fill that in, or you can simply send an email to support@plantanapp.com. We'll probably come back to this one because not everybody that's here needs to know it, but we are going to have a special interest group discussion. If you are interested, we'll do this next Friday in place of the regular campfire, and we'll be talking about trying to understand your needs as developers and aligning on a Plant an App partner program. Our CEO, Bogdan Latescu, will be here for that one, and so we hope to have a good and vigorous discussion. It will not be a published discussion. So show up if you want to participate. With that, hello, small group. Hello, Mark. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, hello.
Did either of you come with something you wanted to talk about first?
No, I haven't been too active in it in the last week, so not this time.
All right. Well, let's do some stuff. I'm gonna Matt had asked about some things having to do with grids, and I will save this and come back to it to see if he comes, if he uh, either later on or the next episode. But it's all about grids as pop-ups and modals and what's the difference. And I did not spend any time researching this. I was hoping that there were bright people that showed up that would know. So we'll dig into that one when he is in the meeting. Um, Informationally, Beta RC2, we have been paddling as fast as we can and are about ready to release this RC2. Um, I believe it's likely to happen on Tuesday morning. It's a holiday where the developers are working on Monday, so we don't want to release when there are no developers available. We don't want to release over the weekend when no developers are available, so to deal or support to deal with anything that might come up. So it'll probably happen on Tuesday. Anybody who's testing version 1.27, release candidate 1, what this will look like is this is an adjustment to minimum dependencies. And what that means is that the next time that you browse to the configuration page, your choices are to upgrade or not, but you're not able to use the configuration page until you take all of the updates that we're sending for release candidate 2. So for people who are beta testing, that would typically not be a problem. We have a few clients that are actually using version 1.27 in either a development mode, a true development mode, or at least in one case where it's in production. And so we're trying to be very careful about releasing that and forcing things to happen And so we're wanting to make sure that people know about it. We've alerted them, and we will alert them as we do it, but we also want to be available to fix things if things go wrong. And on the chat, Matt's here but not able to run, so we'll check back with you when you're ready to talk about it. So anyway, anybody at all have any exposure or comments about RC number 2 or the way that we're doing release candidates, or any questions about the new version? If you do, we'll come back to that. So this is where I add my value, where I say, hey, I'm doing stuff for you guys. Been working on improving the documentation, and so we have this whole area of form state. I think this has come up in a discussion, but I know it's come up in some internal things recently, and so I've gone through all this. Um, so um, the documentation was pretty minimal here around saving and loading and clearing the state, and I've added quite a bit of content and uh, explained what this is about. And in doing so, there is so this is all about if you want to save the state of a form for a particular reason and then be able to come back and load it at a later time. This would be a great use case. Might be that somebody is doing a draft of a form and you don't want them to have to um, that maybe they don't pass all the edits of the form yet, but you do want to save it so that they can come back to it at a later time. And so that's what it's all about. Um, I discovered that there is this autosave state. Well, I mean, I've used this before, but the discovery was that this is, in the current version, not functional. There's a bug in it, and so I don't want anybody to waste their time trying to use auto save state. It's a really cool feature. Has anybody ever used this before? I think this might have been the first thing I ever used when I was using the old DN and Sharp tools in Action Form. Behind the scenes, it as you're typing into a form, it submits content to the website, and so your form, uh, without even hitting any submit, is saving its state. So you could be typing away and just close the window, and when you return to the site, it would be if that was the design. If your form loaded this autosave state, it would just come back even without having clicked any buttons. So it's kind of a cool thing. But it's broken in version at least 126, and so it's on the list to be fixed. Probably not that big a deal, but not done. Anyway, so that's some documentation I've been working on for you. And then last week, and in the campfire, we did the Google authorization bearer token, and so that got documented as well, and it kind of explains why you might use it and how to go about it. So that this documentation, together with that example, might help you if you want to go do some Google stuff. Um, moving on. Yeah, let's jump right into Google Campfire contributions. I think this one is kind of this is still on Google Bearer, but I wanted to document a little bit what this contribution does, and uh, it kind of shows off the whole process, and so I'll describe it a little bit, and then um, we'll add a few more words to this contribution on Campfire, but this is the only contribution that we have since last time. So what this form does, if we go back to what the Google Bearer token and the example that I provided, what it was all about was interacting with Google Drive. Of course, you can interact with other services once you have a Google Bearer token, but we focused on putting a folder into, putting a file into Google Drive and then getting the file contents and being able to do a listing and a bunch of just core functionality, read, write, delete kind of functionality. So to use this form, we have this Open Google Drive folder button. When you click it, it's going to open a empty drive that is open to everyone to be able to read and write to. So just an empty and accessible folder. When you click we're going to fill in a file name that we want to create. I'm sorry, there's a folder ID, and the folder ID is the same one that for this that I've provided. But if you have a folder that you want to test with, you're welcome to fill in a different folder ID here to work with and demonstrate that this functionality will work so long as you've provided kind of an open, available to all folder permissions. So I'm going to call this Campfire June 6 is the name of the file that I want to create. And I'm going to say this is a text file that I created in Campfire. And I'll try and spell it right. So if you click having filled in the file name to create and the text file contents, if you click Create Text File, it's going to put that out it's going to call the Google function to do that. It gives us a file ID back. It gives us the return from the Google call that created that. And if we go over and look in the file in the actual Google Drive folder, we can see that the file got created. If we click to open it up, we can see that it's got the right content. So a little proof that it all works. There's another function on the form, the button Get Folder Information. If you click that, the Google output will show all of the information about the whatever's in the folder. If we had multiple files created in there, it would all be in there. And it also has among other things, the ID of the file. So this is something that you can use to open a file. The Get File Contents button replaces the Google, in the Google output, we see the exact contents of the file coming back. And then finally, the Delete File button gets rid of the file. And as soon as we click it and go back to Google, we can see that it's deleted. So thanks for letting me describe all that. I plan to use all that with my research assistant to write up the words that go on this page. And so hopefully this will be improved for that. So open-ended question. Does that all make sense? If you ever decide you need Google Drive or Google Bearer token, you know right where to come.
It's excellent. I think I look forward to incorporating it into some of the work I'm doing.
Same here. It looks good, Dale.
For anyone who's watching the video, for all the thousands of people that watch this video in replay, if you participate in the Campfire group, this video, if you come to the live recordings, we can set you up with a user ID so that you can look behind the scenes and look and see exactly how these buttons are set up and how they work. So that's the incentive to come to the live meetings. Okay.
So Dale,
Yes.
was that option to create a plain text file, was that something that you put into your first communication, your first call, or is that user configurable? Probably didn't ask a very good question.
Well, okay, so I'll just try and answer all the questions there. The Low-Code Campfire that I did, the most recent one, excuse me, Low-Code Cafe that I did, covered doing all of these functionalities, but not in a nice form like this. It was just how to write the workflow that does create a text file. Yeah, does that answer the question, or is there?
Okay, well, can we choose to create something else, like a CSV? I would assume so.
Yes. So,
I apologize for not seeing your other
oh no, that's
video. I can go
you
look
know,
at it.
it's okay if you have a life. Um, so digging in a little bit, the create text file button is running a workflow, Google Create Text with PowerShell. If we were to look at the configuration of that, look at that
So it's
work.
creating it locally and then copying it to Google Drive. Is that what's going on?
So the workflow has inputs. It wants to know a folder ID, the file name, and whatever content. And it's doing just one, it's running a PowerShell script. The PowerShell script is calling the Google API. So it's doing a particular kind of content, a text file. I would assume that, I mean, if you wanted to send CSV data to it, you could do that as well. And then I'm sure that you could interact with sheets and docs and the different things that go into Google Drive. PDFs, you could send a lot of different things. I just focused on one thing,
Sure.
plain text.
Good.
But as you can see, whatever content that you pass it in the input, text content, that's what would go. So back to our test case. If we wanted to send some CSV,
it helps you to show them you've got some experience, you understand what's necessary. Number two, that's to switch
we can't,
as soon as you have
yeah,
whether or not they understand, not committed to
that
success of salespeople and that.
it would be there and it would be readable as, I mean, it's just text, right? So you could use it
Sure.
to send that. And in the same way, the function that retrieves get file contents would be able to retrieve it. So you could push data out onto Google Drive and get it back somewhere else. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Dale?
Please.
Is the point of the larger point of this Google Bear token is to interact with Google Drive in this case? The file that you're creating, in this case, a CSV or a text file, is really just for proof of concept. This could be, for example, to upload a PDF without actually, not create a PDF, but to upload one. Is that
Absolutely.
okay? That's what I thought.
So, yeah, this is proof of concept, and so in as much as what it does, if you just want to store some data for somebody to pick up or for you to pick up at a later spot, you want to use Google Drive as your storage location, it proves that you can do it. To your point, if you wanted to do a PDF, then you would probably have to write a different kind of workflow that does a different kind of call. You could probably start here with um, this create text with PowerShell shows that you can call this drive files upload, and so there'd probably be a different one to do a PDF or some whatever content that you want to do. You might not even need to do it by way of PowerShell. When I got into this in the cafe, if you listen to it, this lots of things you can do with just a simple server request in action, and you might be able to use the server request action to upload a PDF and not have to get into all this. But some things are the amount of content and what it needed to look like in order to receive a text file was a little bit more than just a simple server request that I could get it to make work. But with the help of AI to figure out how to form the body of what I needed and to do all the things that I needed and then do the call, it kind of enhanced the simple server request to do it this way. But and then the super larger point is that there are a ton of Google services, not just Drive. And I think Jim was asking about the Photos API and different ones. So if you go, and I think that was referenced in my cafe as well, that there's this page of all the different things that are available in the Google API. And once you have the bearer token, they're all possible, probably through just server request. So yeah, this is just proof of concept, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that contribution, Dale.
Yeah, trying to, um, yeah, if you, it'd be a good starting spot if you want to do Google Drive. I think also in the cafe and Bogdan watched some of what I did in the cafe. He was there, and right after the cafe, he said, the security that you gave that Google user, the owner security, might have been too high. Um, and in fact, it was. So sometimes when I do these things, I take the path of least resistance. If you have kind of super user security, then you can do anything, and then maybe as you're trying to really um, if you're really going to implement something, it should probably be on the least security model, the least that you need in order to get something accomplished. And so there's kind of a difference in purpose, demonstrating something is possible versus doing it right. So maybe I didn't make that point good enough that, yeah, using minimum, the fine grained security. So this was actually back down. It's using the Google Drive scope, but with no particular security role anymore, and it still works just fine. So less dangerous. It's basically if the user has access to the folder, then you can write to the folder. So, but I suspect if one of you shared a folder with me and gave me the folder ID, this would work. Doesn't matter whose account it's in. It's just if it's open to everybody or open to the user. And actually, let's we do. Security is in here, so permissions. Who has permissions on this? See this address here in the drive permissions. This is who this the Google bearer token that we get is actually acting as this. And so I think this would be the minimum. If you shared a folder with this guy, uh, it, it would be able to read and write from that folder. So fine grained security is certainly possible. All right. No more questions? I'll move on from that. We were talking, talking in one of our product meetings this week, and it occurred to me that there's some information that you guys would probably benefit from, and so I'll let you know. Number one, we've kind of started as a process, which we call the Kanban board, but there is part of our developer team working ongoing to fix things, the smaller things that add value. So we have a number of objectives that happen in every release cycle, but meaning we've got the big things, the big features that we want to add on. There's some big long-term things that we're working on, like .NET Core, and so we're trying to fit these huge rocks and the medium-sized rocks and the small rocks all into every developer cycle. So this is Kanban board is the smaller but important things, and so from time to time, I'll just talk about some of the. We're meeting weekly to talk about these things and their annoyances within the product. They're probably the things that either will benefit you or you most or annoy you most, and so I'll try and bring them here from time to time. So there's a bug. Just I'll hit a number of these, but there's a bug about the currency field type. It says that it supports tokens when you initialize it, the initial currency, but it doesn't support tokens, and that's a real small thing that got fixed. It's fixed, and as soon as 127 is released, then it will be available as a hot fix. So this is something that's done, but just waiting for a place to get released. I don't know if it's any of you on this, but we use the tiny MCE editor in some places where you can edit actions within the product. And if you're trying to put a HTML style tag in, it just strips them out, and that's kind of annoying, and for no particular reason. So we're working to remove that restriction. I've been just working in these last few days on this, on checking the work on developments working on 3091, where if you use the gear icon, there's this, I don't know if you guys use it or not, but I hardly use it. Let me see if I can, of course it's hidden here. Let me find it. So we have our Plant and App gear icon, and there's this app builder thing that slides out and brings out the configuration page. I don't know if you guys use this very much versus just going to the configuration page. I hardly ever use it, but it's a feature that's there and we put out, and so there's a bug where if you're clicking that and there's activation that you need to activate a license, the you can click activate, but it can't be used. It doesn't work right. So yeah, it's just if you had browsed to the configuration page, it'd work, and if you happen to do it this way, it wouldn't work, and so an annoyance that we're fixing. I actually suspect one of you has encountered this before. But this is the one that I thought you'd like to know about the most. This user where we're trying to ability to style listings. This is the part where you can add classes to rows and columns, and so this is currently in development. So it's likely to happen. Patrick, this is your favorite topic.
Yes. I was trying to unmute myself. And I apologize for my lack of participation thus far. Some workers arrived to do some work 3 hours early, right as this call was starting. So I've had some distraction.
You can't turn down when they decide to come.
No. So I was expecting them at 2. Anyway, yeah, I'm so excited about that. Yeah. Awesome.
I don't know how much you want to know about how the sausage is made, but we have a really pretty successful program that we started about a year ago, where we hired some junior developers and ran them. They were on our QA team for a year, and so instead of hiring developers to directly go into the code, and if you can imagine the massiveness of Plant and App, there's a lot there. we instead, by being part of the QA team, they get an exposure to all of the low code. They learn to be low coders, right? All the things that you guys use, so that and then they carry that with them as they graduate into other positions. And so, one of our developers, Cosmin, has graduated into development, and then this is going to be his project to one of his first big projects to allow to do this styling. So we talked about it in the meeting this last Wednesday, exactly what it should look like, and um, uh, how it should appear in the listing interface. The ideas that we come with, like being able to, I mean, being able to put a style on a row, which is very cool, right? For anybody listening, if a row, if you can put a style tag in a row, and the row can be and that style tag can be based on information from the row, you can add a style that perhaps shows it highlights a row, like maybe a row is most important, or represents an error. Maybe you want the whole row to show up in red. So um, by being able to add it there, it makes it possible for you to just do this with some CSS, which is very cool. And so I think our focus when this was originally suggested was, well, we need this for data tables, but because data tables have rows and columns. But Bogdan always tries to add a bigger vision. Where else is this needed? And so it's actually going to be done for, or the plan is to do it for cards and for
Calendar?
calendar view as
Yeah,
well.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
very interesting.
so not the experimental views, but the ones that are non-experimental are the ones we're going to focus on now. So if you can imagine that that has some impact, well, exactly where does the styling go? If it's a card, then what is it's not a row anymore. You want to style the whole card. If it's a calendar, you want to style the display on the calendar. When you click on a calendar item and it does a slide out tray, we want the styles to be available, to the ability to style the headings and the data that are part of that as well. So it was really embraced by uh, Bogdana's management, and the product team embraced it and said, okay, let's not just do this one thing. How can we do all of it? How can we do it well? And where should it be? These may end up being settings within the view instead of just in the data column in the fields on the. I probably should have been.
That's awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Probably should have been pointing here as I went along a little bit. So here I have a listing that has three different ways. It's a data table. It's also a calendar and a card view. So we want to be able to style by row. We'll also be able to style by column, um, which makes sense. In a calendar view, the whole the item would be styled here, and then when you click in on it, uh, these are basically the columns, so you'd be able to style the column headers and the column data as well. And then in card view, it would be the card would be the equivalent of a row, and then you'll be able to style the titles and the data. Because some of these settings we'll probably make it into the view and be specific to the view rather than so being able to do things differently on a data table versus a calendar. I think that's the direction we're going. As compared to, I think the original ask was to be able to add these things as a data field, but we'll see how it turns out. Anyway, should allow for a great deal of flexibility. So, I don't know if it does it either help you or is it of interest to know what kinds of things we're taking in on Kanban.
Yeah, that helps too.
Yeah, I think
You
it's
know,
very helpful because we can get a sense of if we've got, like in Patrick's case where he's really looking forward to something, he knows it's in the queue at some point. So I think it's great.
good. Thinking about the queue a little bit, so we're about to release version 127. A lot of things, some of these things will come as hotfixes to 127. So specifically, this like currency thing is done. Some things will come in the next version. So at least know you'll. I suspect this styling listings will come in the next version. We're working very hard to not have it be a year-long version release schedule. That's we're really trying for it to be more like 3 months. And for internal well, as I understand it at the moment, we're going to go from version 127. Version 128 will probably never be released, and so they'll see this in 129. We were having a little bit of confusion about what goes in what version, and I think 128 will probably never come out. Okay. Since a few more of you showed up, I'm going to back up all the way to the beginning and do this one. I just want to mention next week, instead of regular campfire, we're going to do a partner special interest group. So anybody who's interested in developing solutions, selling solutions and that are based on Plant and App, we want to talk to you. And so Bogdan will be here, and it will be recorded, but not placed as part of our campfire content. It'll just be for us to look at. And yeah, so Matt, are you ready to play?
I am. So you want me to lead off here?
If you don't mind, tell me. I'm tired of talking. You're tired of listening to me.
So essentially what I'm attempting to do is work with grids, in this case, as popping up on the screen, whether that's a modal or a pop-up. Functionally, I don't think it matters too much to me in this context. The second point is, first of all, I'd like to understand kind of at a semi-technical level what the difference is between a pop-up and a modal. And the JavaScript that when you look at the settings page, and if you choose display mode and then in modal and you copy the JavaScript, that actually doesn't work. Obviously, there's more down low that you can use when you open up the JavaScript APIs section. But the bigger picture for me is I need to be able to make the heading area of a modal or a pop-up dynamic, so that the use case I think I sent to Dale was if I've got a listing of users and I want to find out more details about that user and what they're kind of up to, I want to be able to click on a button on the listing on the main screen, have it pop up, and then, for example, put the display name of the user in the title area. And so far, it's been successful. Now, Mark Bilsing, to my eternal thanks, has done something like that, where you create essentially a false field inside the listing with some JavaScript that pushes it out to the modal title. But that's not been certainly not been 100% reliable, and it requires, if you've got a long listing, you're creating the same field over and over and over and over and over again, which isn't terribly efficient. So, all right, so it looks like maybe you've got this, see that sub-user information?
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to be able to do is alter that so that that's dynamic to the row you're on. I have, yeah. So what I see happen is the first time through I can get it to work. It's the subsequent times that don't work, because I think what's happening, from what I can observe, is the pop-up is getting executed once, then cached, and not the data source is getting updated, but the whole
Not being initialized.
yeah. So that I think is, from what I can see, the heart and soul of the problem. And then the next question is, how can you overcome that? So if you could, Dale, while we're on this topic, well, so let's leave it at that for now. And any suggestions or thoughts?
I can confirm that I've seen this before, and Dale, I think it's been reported. I can't guarantee that because I can't access that right now, but I do think it's been reported, but I don't know the status of that.
Reported as in a bug, you mean?
Yes, as in the internal system. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So there's been a couple of versions of this out here on Campfire, and I'm finding there's one here that that does it as a button. So you click a button and it does the pop-up. And then we have another one that does it as just clicking on the row, which is another JavaScript. And this was one that Jim Everett did a while back. So I'm going to focus in on the one that doesn't have extra functionality. And so I'm going to delete, and actually let's get rid of everything to the right here. And focus in on, we have a details pop-up and things happen. So the, let's see, when we do this, we get sub-user information as the title. And what we're doing is, this is on the user's grid itself, that there's a button. The details pop-up button is running it's pushing something on the query string and then showing the pop-up. So and help me here. Where is sub-user information, the title coming from?
Open up the pop-up grid itself, take a look at that. Yeah. And then go down to, settings. Go to the bottom. Oh yeah, there you go. In this case, you got in a pop-up name. The other place you can also affect that is if you scroll down, you'll see advanced UI settings. You can put additional HTML header in there. So you could, for instance, put a stylized heading tag or whatever. So the thing that I'm seeing is, thus far at least, the that this doesn't seem to be refreshing. So,
Okay, and so we'll hack this up just a little bit.
hmm.
So I'm just going to try to prove or get the symptoms a little bit.
Yep.
And so we'll refresh. And so we're seeing that a
1545.
token gets evaluated and it's happening. And so we got 4531 when we're looking at Dale, and we'll look at Ben, and it's 4531. So it hasn't updated the header.
Right.
It's so same symptoms I think that you're reporting. It does it first time, it doesn't do it the second time.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at what's available. If anybody knows the answer, we can start there, but I wanted to look at the JavaScript API and I think would be init. Come on. So we have init form. Is there not an init listing?
No. You see, you've got the form.
Grid refresh.
All right, you have one that's the action grid, show grid, or pop-up. You've got the module right there, line 19, I think it is. Yeah. So it says modal settings. What I have not, I don't understand what modal settings are in that context.
Sure, I know either. And I see there's one that says refresh as well. So modal settings is going to be, and I don't know what the right value to pass in. We probably find that, but it's going to be about whether or not to say that it's modal. And modal traditionally means that when you, let's see if we can find it, that when you click outside, it it won't disappear. It's
Dale,
forced to the front.
back on the JavaScript, scroll up to the top line for the open form pop-up. I think that if you're using the same one, yeah, so that's
The params?
yeah, in the mentions, on the mentions, backdrop, static, keyboard false, those are the
Modal
settings.
settings.
Yeah, I think those will be the same settings that you would use in the listing one as well.
That's
Okay.
I thank you for that. I agree. So
So what? All right. So back to the other point about refresh. The refresh works in the sense that it refreshes it's a data source refresh. When you put it to true, then the pop-up modal is refreshed with the current data set. It does not affect, apparent from what I could tell anyway, does not affect the header or the query string. Where you have in your case, you had the query string in a pop-up as a pop-up title. I don't see that works.
and it's really any token, right? It's still showing the
Yeah.
one 4 minutes ago.
So I tried this, tried the query string. I tried setting setting cookies, forcing it by a JavaScript to try to read the cookies, and I also tried to use session variables, and no joy.
Right. So Mark could probably confirm, but there's probably a way to target this, and so running a little bit of JavaScript to directly target the element would be possible, but it's
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking that very thing. Can you run a line of JavaScript after you pop that up?
are
Are you, who are you asking?
you asking me to try it?
Matt. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I was asking Matt, is in your application, can you run an additional line of JavaScript after popping that up? Because if so,
It's
it,
right here. You're popping it
yeah.
up.
Okay, so right there. Yeah, you might be able to add another line or two that changes the title. And we can work on that a little bit. If you go back to where it's showing, give it a right click and inspect and see if there's a handle that we can grab onto. I think there probably is. It seems to me that I've done this.
Modal title.
Yeah, yeah, right there. You could use JS or jQuery to grab that modal title and just change its contents. I want to see this conversation play out, and then I'm going to give you a long workaround of what you're trying to do. Well, actually, I'll give you a thought about a long workaround. It's a H5. Yeah, that ought to do it.
Now that, yeah, date time, see if that works.
Looks like it might not be there yet, so we might have to delay a bit. Oh,
So
it's on.
a question I have, you currently have a title in your pop-up, right? Should you actually have that there to begin with?
I don't think it matters.
Okay. Team 53.
Well, it didn't do anything, so
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's probably just the way the JavaScript's written. I have an alternative to try in the
okay.
chat.
Just so you know, that won't ever really work because JavaScript is client-based, so it only gets sent to the client once. So this gets evaluated one time, and it becomes hard-coded to whatever gets replaced, and
Yeah.
then the client will just run that every single time you click the button. This does not, JavaScript code here will not get re-evaluated each time you click the button to the server and back to the client.
I think we're seeing that play out.
Like you'd be able to do in this particular case, you could use JavaScript to get a date object. But what you're doing right there, that date time, those tokens, you can't do that. That will only evaluate once, and then that's it.
That's 15, 22, 23, 29.
I stand corrected.
Ooh.
I
Okay,
always
Ben.
found that the JavaScript wasn't redone, but
Okay, so can you put the token, say, for the first name in there, just out of curiosity?
First name is, yeah.
Oh,
Looking good.
sweet. All right. Can you put that snippet in the chat?
Absolutely. So this was on the button.
You don't have a semicolon there.
Hmm.
I don't know that that matters.
I probably should. And
No timeout needed.
right.
Ah,
I don't know if yours was to everyone or not, Mark. It was.
That's an alternative. You got it to work.
And because of, let's see, this is happening in the settings area here. And on this one, let's see, we don't want this anymore. And this is really,
I think that's getting overwritten.
we'll never see that. It'll pop fractionally, but get overwritten over immediately. So this was the impact that you were trying for.
Yes.
Just worth mentioning out loud, this is, if you have more than one pop-up on the same page, this is going to break a little.
You might have to target it better.
Yeah.
Although you can put a class, you should be able to put a class on here somewhere, right? Wherever the class goes.
Yeah. Even in
And
the pop-up name, if you were to put a class in there, then you could replace the contents of what's in the pop-up name by JavaScript.
Well, this is going to change. This is going to get changed the first time, and then it won't be there. But whereas CSS here, root CSS class, if you have different listings with different root CSSs, I suspect you can target it.
Yeah, that's good.
So, Mark, in the initial string up there, that in the modal title, can you add the target the actual modal itself, the modal name or modal ID to do this replace, as opposed to just doing a class?
Yeah, you can. I don't think that you, as the programmer, would know what the modal ID is going to be before it is created. I don't know that you can plan that. You can't set it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're back to using classes. Yeah, C41 inside app grid ID 746. Those are going to be different numbers for each time you
Each time you pop up the new
yeah.
modal?
I don't know when they become new, but I can assume that they will be different sometimes. You know, like, is it the first time on this page? Is it for the session? I'm not sure how those numbers are getting generated.
Yeah, unfortunately, I see you're not good. This is getting my modal name happens. Whatever CSS is happening is after the title, so it might make it harder. You might have to find it and then back up. It's kind of beyond me to do it that way. Let's say this. Going back to what Patrick said, all of this is
1, 2, 3. You can do it though. I'm sorry for interrupting you,
oh
Dale.
no, that's all right.
If you have a class name that is several layers down, like it has several parents before you, if you were looking up the chain before you got to the header, you can do that with JavaScript. It's the dot parent action, or I don't know what the term is, but you can target a parent or a parent of an item that you can identify. So since you can put that class name in, you can identify the parent of the parent and change its text content. So I'd put this in a category of, yeah, you can still do it that way with JavaScript. There you go, closest,
Let's try this one instead.
find. Yep. That's good.
Still works.
There you go.
Question is if you have multiple modals is really, I guess, the question, right?
No, because now what we're doing is saying that I happen to use I styled this listing with my modal name as the CSS class. Where did I do that? Oh, it's this one. So your pop-up got styled with this. If you had two different pop-ups, you could style one as A and the other as B, and then you could target A or B.
So in this case, though, that myModalName, the CSS class itself, there's nothing in there. That's just a tag.
Correct.
So you could, for instance, you could have, if you have subuser grid 1, subuser grid 2, and so on, you just change the root CSS class
For each
to
of those.
match, right? And then, okay,
Yes,
cool.
but that would require you to create multiple listing pop-ups.
Well, in my case, I have multiple listing pop-ups. So it's
Okay.
for different reasons on the same page. You know,
Okay.
in this case where we have
Dale,
one pop-up, that makes sense.
So when you're opening that particular pop-up, you would target, my modal name. When you're opening
Yep.
the other pop-up, you would, or, you know,
Dale,
purpose A, purpose B, you could name them and target them.
um, in my going back and forth between checking out what's going on downstairs, and I've managed to find 3469, and I remember correctly, it was something that I created, and I was given a workaround that
Okay.
that is actually an undocumented DNSF function. It's
Oh, great. Let's put it in the list.
This is getting exciting.
Yeah, I'll
so
say.
but we need to see if it actually still works. But where's my chat here? Uh, oh gosh, hold on. I'm dealing with two different computers here. I apologize. Anyway,
I see it.
it's yeah, dot action grid settings modal ID dot popup name. You found it, Dale?
I did.
Yes. Yeah, there it is.
So
Okay.
let's try it. Let's try yet a third way.
Ooh.
Oh, wait, no, that's uh did you look at 3469? Is that what you were looking at?
I did.
So it should be a DNSF function. I don't, is that what you, that's not what you pasted in the chat, is it?
I'm sorry. I'm on
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
on
I
the
see.
screen. Isn't that the one?
Yes, that is it. Yeah, that's correct.
Just like that module ID. Oh, we need to know the module ID. So
Yeah, I
this
think you
is
need to put the module ID in there. Yeah.
so this is 746 that we're targeting. Is that with or without the brackets? It's without,
I
right?
think it's with the brackets, I think. Oh,
Oops,
maybe.
yeah. No, it's probably
So I'm just going to leave it without a token here for the first go around. So if it works, it's going to say change to title. By the way, we're 5 minutes over, but we don't care because, yeah. So that looks like it. That version didn't work. Let's try with,
It does seem like that'll be interpreted as a token, though, doesn't it?
It would seem so.
Yeah.
Oh, it failed altogether.
yeah, just not working. And then
Should the change title be in double quotes or single quotes?
a great question. We're just going on what Vlad said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Change title. There it is.
Oh. Oh.
So now we'll do
First name.
new title for first name.
Action grids. Pop-up name. Look at that.
sweet.
Can that be added to the spreadsheet?
No, sorry. We have to just keep it hidden so that you're dependent on us. And here
Well, what
I
I
am. Yes, I can't. I'm dependent on Patrick here for finding this for me. So yes, let's add it to the spreadsheet. And
Patrick, good job.
Thanks.
thank you, Patrick.
Yeah.
Well,
this would be. Let's put it in here for now. That's. By the way, this column may go away. We had goal anyway. Never mind. So this is going to be.
So Matt, do these pop-ups now do everything you need them to do?
yes, except for the title. Yeah. So this is terrific.
Because it occurred to me that you could use a pop-up form instead of a listing, and you could still get your data table inside the form, but the form would then give you a lot of things, buttons and action stacks and additional lookups and all those things.
Yes. Yeah, and yes. However, because I use this so frequently, a lot of time it's more about kind of time to market, so to speak.
Um,
Could you copy that and put it in the chat for me?
sure.
Thank you.
But so now just kind of features and benefits. I would be very tempted to use version 2. the closest version, because as a low-code developer, I could put the class on my particular grid, and that essentially gives it a name that I can refer to. And then if I transport this to some other system, I don't have to worry about, is it still 746? It's by name, right?
Yeah.
Good
It's,
point.
if you move this to another system, you're guaranteed the grid is not going to be not going to have ID 746 anymore, unless you're just terribly lucky.
Right. But in all fairness, all of your JavaScript code there is going to change from module ID.
Yes, and you are absolutely correct. So in this case, it doesn't matter. There's a possibility, yeah, and I know, I suspect there's workarounds for finding the module ID and doing it dynamically rather than.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have one.
You got it ready for in the chat?
It's a token.
Oh,
Probably post it in the chat. It's a Razor script.
but yeah, I hate making these things dependent on these IDs, and if you're gonna copy them and sounds like a topic for next week since we're at 70 minutes here. But let's go on to Afterglow. Does it sound like a win? We got. Thank you for asking this, Matt, because we got past me droning about things that and nobody interacting. We actually got into something worthwhile.
Always glad to help.
Right?
That looks like a contribution to me.
I was thinking that too.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Remember that we will have we'll be meeting this same time in 1 week, but not for Campfire, but rather a partner information discussion. So if you're following along for Campfire, next regularly scheduled episode 2 weeks from today. Thank you all and see you then.